In this somatic style yoga practice, we're going to explore movement and coordinating with the breath as a way to really feel connected to your body. Now, I'm showing you in this get-up today because some of the movements are very small, so it's not always easy to see. If I was wearing joggers and a jumper, things like that. But in reality, when I'm doing this kind of practice for myself, I am going comfies. So whether that's jogging bottoms and a nice baggy jumper, or maybe it's pajamas or something like that. But it's really important to be wearing something comfortable for your body today. So pick clothing that you feel comfortable. There's not, we don't, want like big compression bands and stuff restricting movement in the body. So make sure you're wearing your comfiest outfit that you can move in freely. And then we'll start on our back, lying down on the ground. And we're not really going to move much from that point. It can be a lovely grounding practice to be on the ground and really start to tune in a little bit deeper to the sensations that you feel in your body. You might feel calmer at the end as well. So let's lie down. So just adjust how your head rests, adjust how your hips rest. That might be lifting them up and down or adjusting your shoulders. Make sure the feet are not super close. We're going to walk the feet a little further away and come into constructive rest pose. Your arms might be down or they might feel a bit more comfortable resting on the body. And if your floor is feeling quite hard, get an extra mat, get a folded blanket and give yourself a little extra cushioning underneath. It's a nice little tip. Okay. So let's start by settling. You could either soften or maybe close the eyes. Inviting a few slightly deeper breaths in through the nose and gently sigh out through the mouth. And let's do that again. And if there's a little tension in the jaw, you might have seen me have a little face wiggle. And just give the bottom jaw a little wiggle from side to side. And then perhaps opening the mouth wide. Ooh, give the face a nice stretch. No one's looking. Oh yeah, that's feel better. And then let the face soften. And beginning to breathe in and out through the nose if you can. Really welcoming this time that you've set aside for yourself. In this practice, it's not about exercise. It's not about raising your heart rate. It's not about building strength. More the opposite. We're tuning inwards. And starting to build your connection with your body. Reconnect. Beginning to float the arms down alongside the body. And we'll come into a pelvic roll. So notice the space between your lower back and the floor, and you might want to slide a hand kind of underneath and kind of get curious about that curve. Is it a big curve? Is it a little curve? But notice the curve. Noticing any judgment thoughts that just came up around your back, any softness. And once again, come back, welcoming this time for yourself. This is not about how you look. All right, let's float the arm down. Start to roll the hips towards you and close the gap between the spine and the floor. So draw the bottom of the ribs down slightly. We're tucking the hips under. And then rolling the hips away, making that space between the lower back a little bit bigger, arching the back on the ground. And again, rolling the hips towards you, closing the gap between the lower spine and the floor. And then rolling the hips away, arching the back. So it's really not a big movement at all. Keep going. Just have a play. Stay curious. How does this feel? I'm exploring with a curiosity. There's no right, no wrong. And then coming back to the center. We'll now explore moving with coordination with your breath. If it doesn't happen first time, that's fine. Don't worry. Just like everything else in life, it takes practice. Okay, so have a play, stay curious, and let's see what happens. So taking a breath in the middle, and then as you exhale, roll the hips towards you. Close the gap between the lower back and the floor. As you start to breathe in, then roll the hips away, arching the back on the ground. As you start to exhale, rolling the hips towards you, closing the gap between the lower back and the floor. And then as you start to breathe in, rolling the hips away, arching the back on the ground. Exhaling as you roll the hips towards you. Inhaling as you roll the hips away. Now I'm going to stop talking, keep going, and have a play. Your breath is going to be different to mine, so. You come back to the center, inviting a breath in and out. All right, we're going to add an extra layer onto that, layer of complexity. So again, if moving with the breath feels a little too much, for your brain to compute today, focus on the movement, come back to this practice, add in the breath. With each practice, each time it gets a little more familiar and it'll get a little easier to access. So be kind to yourself if it's not working together the first time. Okay? Okie doke. Inviting a breath in here. And then rolling the hips towards you, close the gap between the spine and the floor, and we're going to peel the heels off the ground and come up onto the tiptoes, gently press into the balls of the feet. Allow the heels to come down, roll the hips away, arching the back on the ground. Start to lift the balls of the feet on the toes, keeping the heels on the ground, and slightly dragging the heels towards the hips. Allow the balls of the feet to come down, rolling the hips towards you, exhaling as you come up onto the tiptoes of the feet. And then rolling the hips away, arching the back on the ground, bring the heels down, lift the toes. Bring the balls of the feet down, roll the hips towards you, exhaling as you come up onto the tiptoes. As you inhale, rolling the hips away, arching the back, heels come down, balls of the feet and the toes lift. Bringing the feet down, rolling the hips towards you. Lower back connects with the ground as you peel the heels off the ground, coming up onto the tiptoes. Rolling the hips away, arching the back on the ground, heels come down, toes lift. Exhaling as you roll the hips towards you, come up onto the tiptoes. Inhaling, rolling the hips away, arching the back on the ground, lift the toes. Keep going, have a play. Lovely. Take a pause, allow the feet to come down, and then we'll guide one leg and then the other. Give yourself a little hug. So a gentle rock from side to side might feel good. Hands could be around the backs of the thighs if that feels more comfortable. Keeping the right leg in towards the body, we'll bring the left foot down and extend the left leg long along the mat. Bring the left hand onto the outside of the right knee and the right arm on the floor. So we're going to go in and out of a rotation, again with the breath. So inviting a breath in the middle. As you exhale, guide the right leg across the body, coming into a twist. And then when you start to breathe in again, come back to the center. Exhaling across. Inhaling, coming back to the center. Exhaling over into the rotation. Inhaling, coming back to the center. Keep going, a couple more. Find your own rhythm. Next time your leg comes back to the center, allowing the right foot to come down and either extending both legs long or keeping both knees bent, your choice. Take a pause here. No rush. So often we're in a rush to move on to the next thing in our practice, in class, in life. But just like in a composition of a photo or a painting, the negative space is just as important. The space between the movements, the pause, and the value in that space that we don't tend to give ourselves in our busy lives today. So now, let's move over to the other side. So bending into the left knee, guiding the left leg in. And then right hand, this time onto the outside of the left knee with the left arm on the floor. Inviting a breath in the middle. And then exhaling, guiding the leg across. Inhaling, coming back to the center. And exhaling over. Keep going. The inhale brings you back to the middle. Exhaling over like a ha. Lovely. Coming back to the center. Allowing the feet to come down, either extending the legs or bending into the knees. And we're going to take one more minute here. Resting and breathing. So again, placing the same amount of value and importance onto these spaces, like a negative space in between the poses and movements. Breathing in and out through the nose. And maybe resting the hands onto the lower belly space like I'm doing here. And can you follow and feel the movement of the breath as the belly expands and rises on the inhale? And gently falls back and lowers on the exhale. And maybe you can feel that, but if you can't, and you think, oh, I can't feel that, that's okay. What can you feel? Can you feel the air coming in and out through the nose? Three more breaths. Lovely. What always feels quite nice for me, you might want to join me, is to take a nice big stretch along the floor. Wiggling into the fingers, into the toes, shimmying the hips, shimmying the shoulders. Oh, maybe a yawn. Floating the arms down, bending into the knees, rolling over onto your side. And then pushing up. Take your time to get there. Any wiggles that feel good? Thank you very much for joining this practice. If you enjoyed this practice, then please click the like button and subscribe for more practices like this.